They came to America searching for gold. But what they found came from the heart of a 10-year-old girl. And what she gave them was far more precious than gold itself. Her name became a legend. Her kindness helped shape the beginning of a nation that would one day become the United States of America. In this episode of the History of America, today we uncover the story of Jamestown, the first British colony in the New World, and the young girl who changed its fate forever. Where did it all begin? Let's travel back more than 400 years to a place we now know as Virginia. Today it's peaceful and full of beaches, but 5 centuries ago this land was wild and unknown. It belonged to the Powhatan Empire, a powerful union of over 30 Native American tribes living deep in the forests. In 1607, 3 English ships reached this coast carrying 104 settlers, men chasing gold and a new life. They built their first colony near a river, naming it Jamestown, after King James I. The river beside it also became the James River. They built wooden houses and surrounded them with a tall fence. Cannons stood at each corner in case of attack. For a while things seemed fine, until they realized the land was swampy and useless for farming. Food ran out quickly. People began to starve. It seemed Jamestown would collapse before it began. But help came from the most unexpected place. A 10-year-old Native American girl. Here the question is that, who was this little girl? Her real name was Matoaka, but she was called Pocahontas, meaning the playful one. No one knew this small girl would soon change the fate of an entire colony. One day, English explorer John Smith went into Powhatan territory with 2 men. They were attacked by about 200 warriors. His companions were killed, and Smith was captured and taken before the Powhatan king, Pocahontas's father. The king questioned him but couldn't understand his language. Finally, he ordered Smith to be executed. And then, something incredible happened. Pocahontas ran forward and placed her own head on his. Everyone froze. The king, moved by her courage, spared Smith's life and sent him safely back to Jamestown. After that, Pocahontas often visited the fort with food and water. Because of her, many starving settlers survived. Trade and peace began between the British and the Powhatans. For a short time, Jamestown lived in hope. But peace never lasts forever. Here a question rises that, when did the peace begin to break? As time passed, the settlers wanted more food and more land. By 1609, their demands became too much for the Powhatans, who were also short on food. John Smith visited the king again to ease tensions. That night, Smith woke to find Pocahontas crying beside him. She whispered, "My father plans to kill you. Run away." Once again, this brave child saved his life. Smith escaped, but soon he was injured and returned to England. Without him, Jamestown lost its leader. A new governor arrived with more settlers, but no extra food. And then came a nightmare, the starving time. The question is that what happened during the starving time? The winter of 1609 to 1610 became one of the darkest chapters in early American history. Jamestown's food was gone, hunting was impossible, and disease spread. Out of 500 settlers, only 60 survived the winter. People boiled their dogs, cats, and even their shoes. Some even ate human flesh to stay alive. Later, historians found the skull of a girl named Jane, proof of that horror. When spring came, the survivors decided to leave for England. But as they reached the coast, they saw ships arriving, carrying food, supplies, and a new governor, Lord Delaware. For the starving colonists, those ships were like a miracle. They returned to Jamestown and started rebuilding. But peace with the Powhatans was gone. When the natives refused to return English deserters, Lord Delaware sent soldiers to attack. Villages were destroyed and many were killed. The Powhatans struck back with ambushes. Once again, Jamestown was caught between hunger and war. Now I tell you, what did the British do next? They made a cruel plan to kidnap Pocahontas. In 1613, when she was about 15, a tribal chief tricked her onto a British ship. She was captured and held hostage. Her father, the Powhatan king, had to stop fighting. Jamestown was safe again, but Pocahontas lost her freedom. During captivity, she converted to Christianity and was renamed Rebecca. Later, she married an Englishman, John Rolfe, with her father's forced permission. And this same John Rolfe would soon change Jamestown's fate, not with gold, but with tobacco. Let's see, what was the secret of smoke? Before the English, the Spanish had learned the secret of tobacco from the Native Americans of South America. For years, Spain made huge profits by selling it in Europe. In 1612, John Rolfe got a few tobacco seeds and tried to grow them. At first, he failed. But after marrying Pocahontas, everything changed. She knew the land and the seasons. With her help, Rolfe grew high-quality tobacco. Soon, Jamestown began exporting it to England. The colony that once starved for food now thrived on the golden leaf. The dream of gold was replaced by the smoke that built an empire. By 1619, farmers from England and Europe arrived to grow tobacco and start new lives. Did you know how families and slavery begin in Jamestown? At first, only about 100 women lived there. In 1619, around 90 more were sent to marry settlers and build families. Farms grew quickly, and with them came a new problem: labor. Hiring European workers was too costly. So the settlers turned to a darker path: slavery. That same year, an English ship captured a Portuguese vessel carrying enslaved Africans. About 20 men, women, and children were brought to Jamestown and sold. That marked the beginning of 250 years of slavery in America. But what became of Pocahontas? By now, Jamestown was flourishing. Pocahontas and Rolfe had a son and traveled to England in 1616. She was welcomed like royalty, proof of peace between two worlds. Paintings showed her in Western clothes, her Christian name Rebecca written proudly below. But her story turned tragic. In 1617, just as she prepared to return home, she fell ill and died at only 21. She was buried in Gravesend near London. Some say it was illness, others whisper it was poison. No one knows for sure. Her death ended the fragile peace between the Powhatans and the English. Let's get to know that how did the Powhatans fall? After her death, the British expanded fast, taking more land. In 1622, the Powhatans fought back, killing 347 settlers, including John Rolfe. But even that couldn't stop British expansion. Armed with guns and ships, and supported by rival tribes, the English crushed Powhatan resistance. Their final battle came in 1644. 500 British died, but the Powhatans lost again, and their king was executed. In 1646, the once great Powhatan Empire surrendered completely. Their lands were taken and survivors forced into small reservations. From then on, the English controlled nearly all of Virginia. What began as a small wooden fort had become the foundation of a new empire. Let me tell you that what legacy did Jamestown leave? In just 39 years, Jamestown changed world history. It faced famine, disease, war, and slavery, but it survived. From here, the British spread across North America, laying the roots of the United States. The Powhatans, once rulers of these lands, were reduced to a few small reservations. Today, only the Pamunkey Reservation remains, home to descendants of that proud nation. There, a carved face, said to be the Powhatan king, still watches over his lost land. Jamestown itself burned down in 1699 but was later rebuilt as a historical site. Now tourists walk its ruins, see the statues of Pocahontas, and visit the ships that carried the first settlers. Let's talk about the girl who changed history. Pocahontas' story has been told in books and films, sometimes romantic, sometimes misunderstood. But the truth is simple. She was a child who showed kindness and courage in a world ruled by greed. Twice she saved John Smith's life. Through her actions, she unknowingly helped shape a nation's destiny. The British came for gold but found a girl. Through her, they found survival. The seeds of tobacco, trade, and even slavery that grew from Jamestown would go on to define America for centuries. My curious fellows, this was the story of Jamestown, where the British first planted the roots of what would become a superpower. But the story doesn't end here. Another colony soon rose, one that shaped American identity even more deeply. Every 10th American today can trace their roots to it. From that colony came the dream of freedom and the birth of the United States. So what was that colony? How did it rise? And what secrets hid behind its famous Thanksgiving? We will find out this in the next episode of History of America.